All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Uh, as is our custom, I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. But of course, we know that most of us are from the southwestern part of Nigeria, sorry, Southwest Africa, more likely, and most of us are from Nigeria. I want to say thank you for keeping it a date once again with us on the University Research Methodology Training. And we once again are going to be discussing a very, very important topic, and that is something about how to build a formidable foundation and how to understand what our edge is as a researcher. I'm not the one that is going to welcome our very esteemed facilitator today. I will be calling the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research, Innovation and Development to welcome us very briefly, and then we can set the ball rolling. Prof, sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning to Dimeji. Good morning, all. Uh, Let me again welcome us to our usual, let me call it now, a research workshop canteen, where we take our coffee for 45 minutes every Friday. So good morning to everyone again. Thanks for joining. I can see currently we have 30 participants, and I'm sure others will join soon. So let me welcome us to this workshop, and particularly to thank Dimeji and the director of the University Research Office, Professor Jide Odu, who has continued to provide leadership on this platform. And to welcome all our distinguished professors, researchers, and early career people also on this platform. Just a quick one about this to say that you will notice that we started this year providing some basic skills and also some justification on why, as a researcher, we need to pay more attention, and do just the right thing. And we cover a lot of issues around some common denominators for researchers. Then we move to some specific issues on how researchers build their research work, starting from the conceptual ideas. How do you bring what justify what you want to do, to some skills in writing your introduction, some pieces in the production, either you are doing it for journal, for grants, or whatever. And we're able to move to, I think, some aspects of doing a research design. Deliberately, we pause again so that we can also take some of those cutting edge issues and issues also that across many disciplines. And one of those issues is what we are going to be again hearing today. It's about the modern researcher's edge. I'm not the speaker. We have a speaker here today who is going to take us through. And I'm happy to introduce a good friend, an outstanding researcher whose research work is global. By training, is an agriculturist from the Department of Animal Science, and person of Professor Saidu Hosseini. Professor Saidu Hosseini is not just a researcher, he's a great mentor to so many. You can check his profile on LinkedIn. It's not just that, again, he's been involved, in national building of research. He was a former director of the University Research Office, where I did a lot of work. At some point, he shared different committees on institutional research platform, and currently is one of the reviewers of the University of the Tech Fund institutional IRB, which what I've forgotten how we call it now. I mean, those things that are targeted towards early career researchers. And beyond that, he has a very intimidating profile. Has won several global competitive grants, and you can check up his profile. And currently, he's a member of the University Council, where he also provides some at policy level, very highly policy level, some direction for the university. So this morning, if I were you, I would take more than 2 cubes of sugar You can take 3, you can take 4, but just be careful how much of the sugar you take. So it's my singular honor to open the floor for Professor Seidu Oseni to take us through this journey. Thank you, Prof. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. A great pleasure to be here. Professor Akoni Akinyemi, a true institutional builder. You have really been a great asset to OAU, a pride to OAU. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Provost, Postgraduate College, I hope he's in the house. All the directors of the Central Office of Research, Professor Jide Odu, Director URO, thank you very much. All professors, colleagues. We have some of our collaborators joining across Africa from Southern Africa, so you are all welcome. Dean of Agric, Uni Osun, you are welcome. Again, my supervisor may be in the house, my supervisor for the MSc, MPhil program some 35 years ago. Again, he is honoring us with his presence. That's professor in his own right, Kola Udubote. So thank you very much. We have a very interesting topic here today, along with others. The title is The Modern Researcher's Edge, Building a Formidable Foundation for Early and Mid-Career Researchers and Academics. Okay, so we have a very simple outline here about the RDF, that is the Researcher Development Framework. This is the backbone for early career development for researchers and academics. So it's going to be a whole presentation on its own, not just letter A. For letter B, we're all familiar with several LLMs and AI platforms, but the familiarity is to extend that to the RDF, that is the Researcher Development Framework. And then letter C is the union and intersection of these smart platforms with the Researcher Development Framework. And that is the heartbeat of the presentation. Then we have case studies to further drive home the point. And then we have we cannot do without discussing letter E, using LLMs responsibly, whether in connection with the Researcher Development Framework or not. Okay, and then finally, we're going to conclude with a community of practice for LLM-driven Researcher Development Framework for OAU, owned and driven by the Central Office and Richards and the Postgraduate College. So let's get going. I hope I am very audible. Hope I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So about the RDF, very briefly, again, this is the spine of this presentation. We're all aware that the RDF describes what it means to be a successful researcher and academic. Again, it has its whole history dating across at least over a decade now since it was developed as a referral framework to guide academics to achieve the utmost in the profession. Each domain, it has about 4 domains, which we're going to bring out the details, and each domain has 3 subdomains. The RDF inspires metrics for growth, mentoring, and assessment, and the website is as attached. So this is the big framework now. Some of the letters may be a little tiny, don't worry, there will be more details on this. Now, if you can look at my cursor, we have the quadrant. The top right quadrant is tagged knowledge and intellectual abilities. And then you have the second quadrant, that is bottom right, personal effectiveness. You have bottom left, you have research, governance, and organization. And finally, top left, you have engagement, influence, and impact. This is so huge, but we're going to break it down. But this is the backbone for very high impact accomplishment by researchers and academics. So this is the breakdown. The 4 quadrants, starting with A. Domain A is the knowledge and intellectual abilities. That is the knowledge and intellectual abilities and techniques needed to do research. And that is so critical. And this forms the background to the RDF. Again, what is another name for domain A? Again, the name of the framework is knowledge and intellectual abilities. But I nicknamed domain A as the engine. So, and then that word should stick. That is the engine of the RDF. Then if we go to domain B, personal effectiveness, the personal qualities and approach needed to be an effective researcher. What is my nickname for domain B? These are the tires for the car. However good the engine of the car, that is domain A, is, if the tires are flat, the researcher is not getting anywhere. So domain C is research, governance, and organization. Again, this covers knowledge of standards, requirements, and professionalism needed to do research. What is my nickname for domain C? I call it the fuel to run the car. So if we have the engine, a sound engine with very good tires, that is domain B, and then the fuel, enough fuel to run the car. And finally, we have domain D, which is the ultimate. Domain D is engagement, influence, and impact. That is the knowledge and skills to work with others and to ensure the wider impact, wider dimension of research. So what should be my nickname for domain D? I'm going to call domain D for destination. Ultimately, domain D is the destination. Where are we going? How do we have utmost impact from our research? Again, in summary, domain A is the engine of the car. Domain B is the tires for the car. Domain C, the fuel, and domain D is the destination. Again, we have more details here. More details on the engine. The engine has 3 subdomains. What are the names of the subdomains? A1, A2, A3. A1 is the knowledge base with a whole cluster. For example, very deep knowledge of the subject matter, very deep knowledge of research methods, whether theoretical and applied, etc. What is subdomain A2? That is cognitive abilities to analyze very deeply, ability to synthesize, abilities for critical thinking, ability to evaluate, ability for problem solving. What is a subdomain A3 under domain A? That is creativity, inquiry, inquisitive mindset. And that is the basis for research ideas formulation or establishing research gaps, intellectual insight, innovation, argument construction. All the top running proposals run on sound argument construction. And of course, there is intellectual risk. We have subdomain C. We have subdomain, we have C, which is research, governance, and organization. What was my nickname for this domain again? Again, that is the fuel to drive the car. And it has 3 subdomains: professional conduct, research management, and finance, funding, and resources. C3 could be tagged as all aspects of grantsmanship. C2, research management, institutionally or at the lab level. And the C1, professional conduct, health and safety, ethics, principles, and sustainability. A very sound presentation last week by Professor Mrs. Fatusi on ethics, research ethics. Now, finally, on domain D, my nickname for domain D again was the ultimate destination, how we can work with others, collegialities, courtesies, team working, people management. So all these are critical for effective research management and dissemination, communication and dissemination, engagement. So this is the background. Again, this was shown before. This is the whole framework with the 4 quadrants and the subdomains as described previously. Now we have all these were mentioned before for domain A, knowledge and intellectual abilities, domain B, which is personal effectiveness, domain C, which is again the research governance, and domain D, ability to impact, engage, and influence. Now, that is the first part of the presentation. The second part of the presentation is about LLMs and AI platforms that amplify RDF. For example, this could be a quiz or an exercise for all of us, with me included. For example, what are the likely LLMs and AI platforms that can amplify? And this is, again, the second backbone of these presentations. And what is the rationale for this? The RDF was designed prior to the advent of many of the LLMs, and I can attest to that. There will really no LLMs or AI or smart platforms to drive. So that is, again, part of the backbone of this presentation. Again, we have a slide here that have a selection of some of these LLMs. We have CloudPro, Google Colab, Gamma, Notion, so many of them. But the real point of this is how do they interface with all the domains and subdomains of the researcher development framework? And that is an exercise for all of us. Now, the core argument for this presentation, the first question is what to build. The researcher development framework names the capability. For example, knowledge and intellectual abilities, personal effectiveness, research governance, as well as ability to influence, impact, and engage. Those are the 4 domains of the RDF. So the RDF defines what to build. That is on my left-hand side of the screen. On the right-hand side of the screen is how to build it. That is, how do we match specific set of AI and LLM tools to build it faster, just like the Ferrari car that can attain a speed of 100 kilometers per hour in less than 4 seconds. So put together what to build and how to build. That is the modern researcher's edge, and there are more details on this. Now, 3 ground rules for this talk, and it is so important that we establish it. We have the painkiller principle, not vitamin. What is the painkiller? That each app, each LLM, each tool must resolve a named felt pain. For example, if there are repetitive activities that are drudgery, that are very demanding, and we now deploy these platforms, that is a requirement. If the tool does not solve that, then we cannot include it in our listing. Now, each LLM is matched to a specific RDF domain. For example, that becomes so many items on the domain and subdomains, and that is a group task. And now, we're going to add some case studies, as mentioned before. So the third part of the presentation is the union and intersection of LLMs and the researcher development framework. So this is getting very interesting, and it goes like this. We have the 4 domains of the RDF, starting with the top left, domain A, knowledge and intellectual abilities. And this answers a basic question. Can you think and know like a researcher? And in advance, fast forward, we look at the potentials of Perplexity for those who have used it, the potentials of Notebook LM for those who have used it, and potential of cloud. Cloud as a cloud stack, not cloud as one platform. We're going to come into details. Cloud, for those who have used cloud, whether cloud co-work or artifacts or projects or the codes, etc. Now, if we go to domain B for personal effectiveness, which was described before as under the RDF, again, it answers a basic question. Can you sustain yourself in the course of the research journey? And for those who have used Notion, Notion is a blow away for this. Cloud Co-work, your best friend, and Cloud Coaching, another best friend. If you go to domain C, which is research, governance, and organization, which answers a basic question. Can you run a fundable, compliant project? Compliant, underlined, meaning all the ethical requirements are met. Again, your best friend, Cloud Skills, for those who have used Cloud Skills, automate your tasks, and Cloud Code, again, extra automation, and Perplexity. These are your best friends. And then domain D, engage, influence, and impact. That is the 4th domain of the RDF. It answers a basic question. Can the world see and use your work? Does the world know you through your work? And the cloud artifacts, your best friend. Gamma, your best friend. Perplexity. Gamma can translate whatever text article into very rapid slide decks in minutes. Okay, these are your best your friends. Again, this is a general layout. So you have now the assignment is to match domain to tool, the matching now. This is matching brides and grooms now, literally. For domain A, again, for if you talk of literature mastery, for example, they call early career researcher and academic skill, literature mastery, or critical thinking, creativity, and integrity. Again, some of these clusters, I said Perplexity, NotebookLM, Cloud Cluster, among others. Among others is underlined, meaning you could have emerging tools that may also be part of this list. If you talk of personal effectiveness, self-management, resilience, career planning, Notion is your best friend. Your Cloud Co-work, another best, cloud coaching, among others. If you talk of research governance and administration, including grantsmanship, data management, and compliance, I hope Notion is there, cloud skills, artifacts, Notion, Perplexity. Finally, engagement, influence, and impact. That is the fourth domain of the RDF. Scientific writing, Q1 to Q3 publications, dissemination. Again, I hope NotebookLM is there. Cloud artifacts, again, cloud skills, Gamma, again, is part of this. Now, cloud appears in all of the four domains. Again, a note of caution here. I am almost a shareholder with cloud. I mean, I didn't buy, I don't know where their shares are, but literally, I have the attachment of cloud. Again, so meaning that each listener, each person can build their own arsenal of tools now to match the RDF. So my own preferences may not go for you. But what is of interest, now you have Perplexity, NotebookLM, Notion, and Gamma built around. What is not mentioned here is what you call higher order interactions. For example, there is this interaction between NotebookLM and Cloud Artifact. That is a blow away. Cloud Artifacts connected through, you have the connectors on that cloud where you can link up with NotebookLM and then do extra processing using Cloud Artifact and check the output, meaning that there's a capability that NotebookLM does not have, but that Cloud Artifact can amplify, meaning that we're not going to a one-to-one match now. We could go to two-way and three-way matching, so to say. And so these were mentioned before. We have, again, still on cloud, I call it cloud cluster. If you revert to cloud, it's a case of what do you really want to do across the RDF framework? Are you doing cloud code? Cloud code has the capability to run every machine learning algorithm under the sun through prompting. That is a whole versatility on its own. Cloud projects, many of us are familiar with, where you have a number of projects that you can run and monitor within cloud. We have cloud artifacts I mentioned. Cloud artifacts connected with NotebookLM is a blow away. You have connectors and plugins. Connectors means that you can amplify all other apps. You can connect with almost 100 applications, and that is the beauty of a cloud. With your calendars, with your Gmail, with Gamma, with Notion, you can connect with other apps. And that change the capabilities and the delivery. You have the cloud co-work, again, your best friend. You can do you can automate tasks, and they have cloud design, cloud skills, again, cloud coaching, etc. This is, again, all this in connection with the researcher development framework. We're going to go through 10 quick case studies because of time. We go very rapidly go through some 10 case studies. I mean, how do these match? How do the LLMs and the AI platforms match with the researcher development framework? So we have, for example, starting with domain A, knowledge and intellectual abilities. For example, whether with literature mastery, critical thinking, creativity, research integrity, can you think and know like a researcher? Now, you have early career researchers and academics and PhD candidates spend weeks doing what you take this, doing literature scoping to find literature gaps. It is before these platforms, for our PhD, for my own supervisees, before the advent of platform, they really must start with a knowledge base of 100 references for that topic within the last 5 to 7 years. Meaning around that, what is that knowledge base? And that is a lot of sweating, isn't it? But this is a piece of cake now. For example, I supervised 8 years ago, supervised a PhD project on a major histocompatibility complex. And then we needed to source, the candidate now, not me, had to source over 100 publications recent. And that was very, very manual before Perplexity, before Notebook, LM, etc. So we have all these, whether Perplexity, Notebook, and the cloud as tools to deploy for that. And then you have the fragmented literature. This is case study one. A chemistry postdoc has spent 3 weeks trying to confirm whether her grain and the catalyst was actually novel, working across Carter journal site. Again, Perplexity was to the rescue, ability to sift, synthesize, and collate and establish gap statement. That is a quick one on case study. You have a case study 2, echo chamber argument. You have a social anthropologist fed 40 field research adjacent papers into the book to get one synthesized source map instead of 40 separate schemes. Before submission to a Q2 journal, she asked Cloud, again, this is again capability of Cloud among other LLM, to argue the opposite side of our central claim. And Cloud surfaced a counter explanation she hadn't addressed, exactly the kind of objection the reviewer would have raised, etc. Cloud did not write the paper for her. That is a take-home message. Cloud helps with what you call strengthening, what you call the extra, what you call weightlifting, but not the drafting. Now we have under domain 2, personal effectiveness, as mentioned before, talent doesn't survive disorganization, meaning that the domain B is about avoiding disorganization. Most early career researchers and academics burn out not from the research itself, but from juggling teaching loads, admin work, results processing, grant deadlines, and they store paper with no system underneath any of it. The tool mapping, Notion is your best friend, Cloud Co-work, another best friend, Cloud Coaching. And then we have the case study. Early career engineering lecturer was constantly switching between teaching, its manuscript, and grant paperwork, losing entire time. So Notion was to the rescue, the Notion workspace, and that is a big, big deal. Now, the reentry, we have another one here, a challenge, one of the extra case studies. And then we have the, again, the LLM platform to the rescue. Now for domain C on research governance and organization, this is where grantsmanship lives. This is where most early career researchers and admin in Nigeria and across Africa lose the most ground, not from weak ideas, but from proposals that don't match the founder's actual requirements or data or research practices that won't survive an audit. So the tools mapping, cloud skills and artifacts, your best friends, cloud code, your best friend, Perplexity, another best friend. You have the compliance catch. This is another case study. Again, ability to match, for example, the compliance requirement so that the proposal is not rejected from the very first phase of screening. Again, the compliance gap is here. We have a tool, again, I think using cloud was used for this. The go, no-go founder matrix, again, this is very, very intuitive, ability to screen and then match your profile and determine eligibility. And that will save time whether to submit the proposal or not, if eligibility criteria, etc., among others. The audit-ready pipeline, a computational biologist on a Carter-funded study had data scattered across spreadsheets with different version histories, a real risk for funders of using cloud code script, a reproducible, clear, and again, this really worked out. You don't have to write the code. Give instructions through prompting, and that is the way it is done. That is the extra case study. Under the last domain, we have gauge influence and impact. The skill gap. A strong study dies quietly in a mismatch of poorly structured manuscript or never reaches the audience that should be using it. This is where scientific writing for Q1 to Q3 journals and real dissemination both leads. What is the cluster of tools? Among other tools, cloud artifact, gamma, perplex, among others, so that there is no what you call presenter's bias. This is my familiarity, but I'm not saying that these are the exclusive tools, but these have really, really worked for many of us. Now, we have the case study here about a material scientist, Imra Draft, was technically sound but loosely structured for her targeted journal. The cloud and artifacts helped with that. Again, the details are here. So now, the 1 hour conference deck, this should cover Gamma. Gamma translate what you call auto slides deck generation. I think that is the final, okay. Predatory journal near miss. This helped with this. I think Perplexity did this, the screening of journals to avoid the predatory camouflage for those of us in OAU or predatory journal. That helped to avoid that. Sorry, we needed to rush through the case studies. They are composites, and that is the point. All 10 case studies are illustrative, but they are real too. They solve pain, and the pain is real, and every fix is honestly what the tool does. But this is elementary for now. I'm going to introduce towards the end some advanced procedures, advanced applications too. Now, this is important, using LLMs responsibly. Before we go to that slide, we did not say LLM did the drafting for us. We did not say the authors went to sleep. We did not say the authors did not claim, their responsibility. What we are saying is, what can LLMs do? What can authors do? So the guide rails, authorship and integrity. AI is an assistant. It does not author. Disclose all AI use, meaning we are at the driver's seat. All these ideas are original. We know, for example, under knowledge and intellectual abilities, or personal effectiveness, or research governance, or ability to engage, influence, and impact, all the 4 domains of the RDF, we are saying that we are the driver's seat and we are using these as tools. This presentation never mentioned ceding our responsibilities to LLM platforms are going to sleep. In fact, we're even more awake. So the guide rail number 1, authorship integrity. AI is an assistant. Use it as an assistant, but very good assistant. It's not a co-author. Hallucination risk is there, but hallucination is zero with notebook LM, almost zero, because the literature base for notebook LLM are curated by you, created by you, but the risk is there. Never paste an AI-generated reference list into any manuscript without verifying. Data privacy. Never paste unpublished data results, personally identifiable participant information on the general purpose chart tools because of data privacy issues. For guidance to critical thinking erosion, this is so key. LLM tools should sharpen thinking, not replace it. Sharpen thinking. So the original contents of these presentations are from me. I've been aware of the RDF for over 15 years, and I'm working with AI tools, and I now want to build a bridge between AI tools and the researcher development framework. Those are my original ideas. But I need to use these tools to navigate and bring these ideas to fruition. So LLM tools should sharpen our thinking and not replace it. Equity and access, again, for some of us in the developing world, this could be a concern. And then autonomous tool governance, agentic features, auto-running code. This is getting to where we're generally getting into automation of tasks now. And that is extra note of caution, meaning we need to have extra guide rails to, for example, what files to upload. Even if you're uploading files from your laptop to Google Drive, it is going to actually ask you, oh, there's a bridge somewhere, you need to give consent. So watch out for those bridges so that this automation does not cause another whole set of sleepless nights. The framework has not changed. The RDF with 4 domains and with 3 subdomains per domain has not changed, but the cost of building it has. The RDF names the 4 domains every researcher must build. What has changed is the cost of building. Literature scope for 2 days, something that would take us the better part of 3 months. A compliance gap caught before these are minor. Again, 4 lessons. We match the tool to the domain or subdomain. We're not matching the domain to the tool for the reason you have so many tools that could be required per domain, because each domain has 3 subdomains, and each subdomain has a whole cluster of tasks and capabilities that need to be followed up. Don't start with what can cloud do. Start with which RDF domain is the weakest. Okay. Now, build and deploy your own arsenal. Again, this presentation may be biased towards cloud, and rightfully so, but build your own arsenal so long as it works for you. Every case study is a pain solve, not a feature. It's not a lecture note. So look for more pains to solve. AI compresses time, not judgment, etc. So 1 domain, 1 tool, 1 risk. Again, you can try now. You can put what you call action, put some of this into action and test run all these. But as a researcher and as an academic, build the bridge between the platforms and the domains, etc. Now, quick start toolkit, you have all this as listed before: Cloud, Perplexity, Notebook LM, Notion, Cloud Cowork, Cloud Code, Gamma, etc. Now, self-audit, this you can do on your own. 5 is a maximum score. The literature gap, the system tracking, your research activities, current data, all these are quick exercise. Funders and resources, again, this is for domain C now. Track this with Perplexity's LifeSite, eligibility rules, etc. Again, part of it. Now, the RDF tells you what capability to build. Is it about knowledge and intellectual capabilities? Or is it about personal effectiveness with its 3 subdomains? Is it about research governance with its 3 subdomains? Is it ability to engage, influence, and impact with 3 subdomains? But a merged set of AI and LLM tools tells you how to build it faster. Put together, that is your researcher's edge. And it's a very highly competitive hedge, so to say. Now, gradually rounding up, we have a community of practice that this presentation, all this should not end this morning, the 3rd of July. The presentation does not end with the last slide. We could need follow-up. That is where a community of practice builds habits. So tool skill fades within weeks without reinforcement. The fix isn't another webinar. It is a standing practice loop where the researchers troubleshoot and troubleshoot real manuscript. There's a lot in this case. OAU and all the institutions could be what you call involve a community of. What is a community of practice? A group that agrees to improve, in this case, improve on the deployment of LLMs and smart platforms to the actualization of RDF, the researcher development frame, all the domains and subdomains, meaning that we can share tricks, progress. I just shared, for example, that you can build a bridge between Notebook LM and the cloud artifact, and it's a game changer. That's a 2-way, meaning that the extra capabilities are derived from that bridge. And there's a feature in cloud where you can do what you call connectors. I'm sure many of us are aware of connectors, where you can effectively engage with over 100 different apps, and the result is different. Again, so a community of practice is the follow-up, and you have things that could be institution changing. It is not at this age that you start asking your secretary, where are the minutes of the meeting of 2 weeks ago? The same 2 weeks ago, you could have scanned the raw notes, handwritten notes, and give a 0.5-second instruction to any of the platforms. Oh, please transform this into a Word document instantly. So meaning that we have the opportunity to be very agile, to be very active, to really be very, very fast in many of our processes. This is just an example. Now, the community, I mean, these are some of the details of how the community can be implemented. But before we close, this is the last, before we close, these are preliminaries. For those who do data analysis, all the textbooks are literally updated now. For example, if you use Data Robot analyzes particularly for prediction models, logistic, all regression models. It will run your analysis and could give you an app, like a mini app for you to load future data, and you get instant results. That is the state of knowledge. That's for Data Robot. For Amazon Web Services, AWS, it will run over 250 machine learning algorithms on your data, the kind of models I never saw in any textbook, meaning that the landscape has changed. And like we say in the village, if the beating drums change, the dancing steps must change. So I want to conclude on this note. DVC, Research, Innovation, and Development, all the director of COR, all our colleagues, thank you, thank you, thank you. Over for now.
Wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. This has been very, very heavy, with a lot of tools that really, really are important. And I want to say thank you very much. You can see the claps on the screen, showing everyone's real thoughts about this very, very important presentation and facilitation. Thank you, sir. I want to check if there are questions at this time. First of all, okay, no questions so far. So if you have any question, you can use the raise hand icon. But as we wait for people to type out their questions or to use the raise hand icon, I'd like to invite the Director, University Research Office, Professor Babajide Odu, for his reaction. After that, we'll take the question from Olatunji Babatunde. Please let's make it questions so that we can make the best use of the time. Yes, and you can see the comments in the chat. Professor Lanre Kutejo is saying so much knowledge packed in about half an hour presentation. Yes, yeah, it takes skill. The Davis already introduced him as a veteran and a treasure. I want to say thank you very much, sir. Professor Odu, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ogunoye. I want to thank Professor Oseni for this presentation. I'm not surprised by what you have presented this morning. I know that you have a lot of things that you can definitely present to us, and then we make us know that yes, you are a researcher by excellence. So I want to thank you sincerely from my heart that you have given us this morning. So I just want to welcome everybody to ask questions, and then ask questions that will definitely open doors to the usage of all that he has presented to us this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So let's quickly listen to the question from Olatunji Babatunde. The prof, maybe I don't know if he's a prof, but please pardon us. I'm trying to.
Good morning, sir. Thank you very much. I want to appreciate Professor Oseni for that wonderful presentation. And I must say that I have learned a lot, and really the information gotten here, there are so much to grasp within a very little time frame. I just want to beg the prof that is there a way that he can organize something like a workshop for early career persons like myself, that we can attend the workshop if possibly, so that we can those of us that doesn't know much about AI can start from the scratch, so that we will have a breed of scientists, new breed of scientists that can work effectively and can do a meaningful research that can have impact in the society. That is just what I want to say, while appreciating him once again. Thank you very much for this wonderful, invaluable presentation. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
All right, thank you, sir. Let's let me at this point also invite a reaction from Professor Damilola Agbalajobi, who is also online and who joined us from the beginning. Please, Ma, I would like to get your reaction. Thank you. You can unmute.
Good morning, sir. I want to first say that I'm grateful for the privilege to listen to you, Sir Professor Oseni. Thanks so much for this words of knowledge shared. I only wish we could have a broader opportunity, because the instruments, especially for us and for every early career researcher, I appreciate the fact that these tools you have shared, they are going to help to make work faster, not to relent on what we are supposed to do as researchers. But sincerely, I feel this is just the beginning. I'm looking forward to a broader opportunity to be able to explore, maybe hands-on opportunity to be able to look at each of these tools and see how it works with each of our research. Thank you very, very, very much for this opportunity. I'm grateful, sir. And we are all very grateful for this. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ma. I don't know if Professor Oluwaranti is in a good place to speak before I invite the DVC.
Yes, I can make a few remarks. Good morning, everyone. I'm not, though I joined late and I think I made a good part of the presentation. I'm absolutely not surprised about the delivery from Professor Oseni, having been working with him for close to 30 years now. He's one scholar that you can always count on to deliver precisely and excellently every time. The presentation this morning, even as someone in IT, I found it, yes, this is awesome. This is deep, and this is something that the younger generation can hang on to. My other remark would be like what the comments have been so far, that this is just like a tip of the iceberg, and he has been able to encapsulate so many things in such short time. The CEO can look, and he is always going to, he's always available. You call Professor Oseni anytime, he will always be able to, he will always support, and he will be willing to deliver. That's the person he is from the beginning that I've known him. So if the unit is able to organize a more hands-on session, I'm sure Professor Oseni will be able to, will oblige. I want to deliver more on this. This has been excellent. Thank you very much, as usual, for bringing this in such a succinct and understandable way that everyone can identify with what you are saying. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So let me invite the DVC, Professor Akoni for his remarks.
Thank you, Dimeji. Please, I want to plead that I can see Professor Aaron. He's a retired professor, very eminent scholar. He's on the floor. Please, let me seek your indulgence. Please help me unmute Professor Aaron. Prof, please, we're happy to see you. Let's hear from you too, sir.
Oh, thank you, sir. I just want to appreciate Professor Oseni for the presentation. As he was making the presentation, I was cracking my head. I hope I can follow this. But I think I've learned quite a lot. It has only stimulated one's interest to now go and do more. with AI. I thank you. And thank you, Prof, for the opportunity. My DVC. God bless you, sir. Thank you.
God bless you too, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Maybe very soon we also have Professor Eru to speak to us here. It's also another very outstanding scholar. He's retired but not tired. So very soon, sir, we want to listen to you too, sir, on this program. So let me come first to, should I talk about the presentation or the presenter first? I think I want to go first on the strength of the presentation. To say for me, this is very good, and as usual, my own 2 cubes of sugar. 4.
I guess a call is coming into his phone because
Joke somewhere that when you want to do MSc and you are the way to kill mosquito, which one is better? Either to use your slippers or you use shelters. Science has moved far beyond that. So just asking very basic question that has no impact at all. And one thing that the professor has shown us today to say that our religion really position ourselves as a people about the community of practice. For me, that is a very strong scientific word, because we are used to people attending conferences, people attending workshops, but among the scientific community, we have to start to build, exactly what we talk about, the community of practice, particularly for early career scholars. And this kind of platform also can provide that, where you continue to have community of practice, and it can be in different formats. And again, I think we are likely to organize a workshop where Professor Oseni also will come and take us through and to let us see the different type that we have. If it's about skill building, you can have a community of practice and skill building. I remember in those days, around the year 2002, the community of that were coming, looking from demography to pharmacy to medicine, just coming together to learn new things and see how things go. So I think that's one thing I want us to consider as early career persons, irrespective of the university you are. Please, as early career, you go into politics too early, you are likely to be a bad academics. So look into community of practice, community of practice in terms of your skill, in terms of the area of your specialty, and in terms of whatever. I think we still have time, to be able to do that. Today. The presenter, Professor Oseni, who have said a lot about it, I just want to again thank you, and thank you most sincerely. As you said, I'll be getting you on the last slide. You said it does not end on the 3rd of July. So please send us your proposal. People have made requests, so please don't let it end on the 3rd of July. Send us your proposal to continue from the 3rd of July. Again, thank you so much for all that you do for the university. It was on a review of proposal for the institutional-based research. I think, was that on Monday or Tuesday?
Yes, Tuesday.
And we started in the morning. I left them. I did not finish till evening, Those are the kind of sacrifices that people give to this system without any compensation. So again, to thank you for that. I just use that as one of those examples. Again, to thank everyone for joining, and I think I'll be yielding the floor again to Dimeji to organize the conclusion.
Thank you very much, sir. I want to invite Professor Oseni for his feedback before we round up.
Thank you very much. Appreciation for all the feedback. Our father, Professor Aaron, thank you very much, sir. Again, DVC research, thank you. We have some extra elders in the house, Professor Akinyele Adeseyiwa from IART, our elder, our mentor. Prof, Thank you very much.
Please let him unmute and greet us. Please let him unmute. Sorry, I don't know.
Yes, Professor.
Good morning, my DVC. Good morning, the presenter, and good morning, everybody.
Good morning, sir.
I'm highly delighted to be part of this. It has really stimulated quite a lot in me, and I believe the younger colleagues will take a cue from this and then blow it up. Particularly the promise you've made to make available hands-on opportunity. I think this will take us thus far. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, thank you, Prof. My MPhil supervisor, professor in his own right, Professor Kolawole Odubot, is connecting from Zambia or South Africa. So, Prof, I really must acknowledge him. That was 35 years ago. Prof laid a foundation he did not know. Even as at that time, Prof was using Harvey's packages. Even as at that time, Harvey's packages are for mixed linear models, and that was part of the foundation about tools and tooling to do our work. Professor Odubote, again, want to use, please kindly, with the permission of the hierarchies, kindly unmute Professor Kolawole Odubote to say hello to the house. Again, I want to mention that you laid this foundation unknown to you. So, Professor Odubote.
Yeah, good morning, Prof. I'm highly delighted to have attended this meeting and to have maintained the contact we've had over several years. From Zambia here, I brought in some of our postgraduate students, and I'm very sure we should be able to work out something in terms of collaboration to see how AI can also be incorporated in our postgraduate program. Thank you very much for the invitation, and I want to thank all the senior professors that who have provided support for this. Thank you, and all the best. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. So the quick comments were on follow-up action, hands-on, etc. Building capacity takes time, but it has to be habitual, it has to be consistent, it has to be daily. The tools are there, deploy them, and they are just there, and the whole cluster of tools, like I mentioned in one of the slides, build your own arsenal and deploy the arsenal continuously and consistently. Again, I want to thank all members of the university hierarchy, DVC research, the directors, our colleagues, our elders, and our early career researchers and academics. God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. I think Professor Ogunlosi is here. Professor Ogunlosi, please close the meeting for us so that we go.
Thank you very much, my DVC. Good morning, sir. And good morning, Professor Oseni. I want to thank you very much. A lot has been said about your presentation, and I agree perfectly with all that has been said. You are always making impacts, and we appreciate you for the impact made this morning. And for me, I'll be looking forward to the workshop, the answer session, because there are still a lot for us to digest, and we need time. We need more attention. We need to concentrate our effort to get the best out of all these tools. Maybe that will give us the opportunity to learn more. So thank you so much, sir, for the presentation. I want to thank the entire COR, and it's been a very wonderful time, another morning tea for us this Friday. I wish everybody a good day. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. See you next week. Same time, same link. And of course, you can get the video on our YouTube channel. That's the OAU Central Office of Research. Just search for it on YouTube. Go to the live section, and then you see this recording and other recordings as well. So thank you to everyone who joined from outside the country. Thank you to everyone who joined all across the country, and also from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. See you next week, Friday, 8 a.m. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you all. Bye-bye.